Hola clase. So today in Google Classroom, we're going to be working with a new tense called the imperfect tense. And the imperfect tense is our tense where you're trying to say that you used to do something, or somebody was or were doing something. So for example, if you want to say, like, as a kid, I used to climb trees, that would be this tense. Or my mom was making dinner last night. Was making would be imperfect tense. So if you read that first dot there, it says the imperfect tense is used to talk about actions that happened repeatedly in the past. So they give you some examples there. Rafael caminaba y Ramiro corría en el parque. Rafael used to walk, there's that used to tense, and Ramiro used to run in the park. We could also say Rafael was walking and Ramiro was running in the park. So it goes through and it gives you the regular forms of AR, ER, IR verbs. So if you look at the AR verb endings, in the yo form, they are aba. To form is abas. LA usted is aba. Nosotros is abamos. Vosotros is abais. And ellos, ellas, ustedes is aban. So for example, with jugar, if you take out the AR and you add that aba family, you get jugaba, jugabas, jugaba, jugabamos, jugabais, jugaban. Now you might be wondering why the yo form and why the el, ella, usted form are exactly the same. The answer to that is, in order to clarify who you're actually talking about, you got to make sure you put your subjects in. So if you're talking about I, you got to put yo in front of jugaba, because it could be he, she, or you. If you're talking about he, you got to say el jugaba, she, ella jugaba, you formal, usted jugaba. So make sure you put those subject pronouns in, because first and third person singular are the same. The ER, IR verb endings are exactly the same. The yo form ends in ia, to form ends in ias, el, ella, usted ends in ia, nosotros ends in iamos, vosotros ends in iais, and ellos, ellas, ustedes ends in ia. So you take off your ER, IR, and you add, I call those the ia family endings. So for hacer, we get hacía, hacías, hacía, hacíamos, hacíais, hacían. For vivir, we get vivía, vivías, vivía, vivíamos, vivíais, vivía. So take off that IR before you add those endings. It says note that accent marks on the habamos, the nosotros form, and throughout the conjugations of ER and IR verbs, like in the iamos family, there's an accent mark there as well. Second dot. These buzzwords can oftentimes cue you to use the imperfect, and these are on your vocab list. Generalmente means in general or generally. So does por lo general. It's the same thing, generally or in general. A menudo means often. That was on your vocab list that we decoded yesterday. Oops, my paper's moving in the wrong direction. Muchas veces. That one was not on our vocab list, but that means many times. And de vez en cuando was on your vocab list. That means once in a while. Todos los días means every day. Nunca means never. So when you use these buzzwords, and I'm going to put them in a great big circle here, it makes it sound like the action actually happened repeatedly in the past. So part A says, write the infinitive form of each conjugated verb. The first one's been done for you. So they want you to take off the endings and tell me where this was coming from. So jugaba, take off the aba. It's got an AR verb ending on that, so it must have been an AR verb coming from jugar. Molestaba, coming from molestar. Coleccionaban, coming from coleccionar. Obedecías ends in ias, so it must have been an ER or IR verb. And if you go back to your vocab list, the verb to obey is obedecer. It's an ER verb. Ofrecía ends in ia there, so it's either an ER or IR verb. If you go to your vocab list, the verb to offer is ofrecer. It's an ER verb. Next one ends in ian, so it must have been an ER or IR verb. And if you go to your vocab list, the verb to allow or to permit something is permitir. Corríamos ends in íamos, so it must have been an ER or IR verb, and hopefully you realize the verb to run is correr. And vivíamos ends in íamos, so it must have been an ER or IR verb. The verb to live is vivir. Section B, we have to take off the AR, and we have to add the correct verb ending. So right now I would do section B on your own, and pause this video, and then go back and check your work with me as I go through this section. So go ahead and pause, and then I'll be back. So guys, let's check your answers here. If we're talking about Alicia here, that should end in aba, so you get molestaba. Número dos, if we're talking about mis tíos, verb should end in aban, so we get regalaban. If we're talking about Pedro, the verb should end in aba, so you get daba. If we're talking about yo, the verb should also end in aba, so you get me portaba. And número cinco, if you're talking about nosotros, the verb should end in amos or abamos, so you get jugábamos. So double check your answers there. Don't forget the accent mark on that first stay in abamos. The nosotros verb ending abamos is the only one that has an accent mark in that aba family. Okay, the next section is section C, and now we're going to move on to ER, IR verbs. So why don't you try to do that section on your own? So pause this video, do it, and then come back and check your answers with me. So here we go, guys. Number one is talking about mis primos. That's my cousins or they. So we want to add ian. So we get ofrecian. Número dos, we're doing the same thing, talking about mis tíos, my aunts and uncles. It's plural. It's in the levant, so we want to add ian again. Or mi tía. Mamá, we would add ia, so we get ponía. Mis hermanos y yo, that's nosotros. That's we. So we want to add íamos. Notice how the I's all have accent marks on this tense. And the two ending would be ias, so we get vivías. Okay, section D are kind of a combination now of all sorts of verbs. So you try that section on your own, and then come back and watch the video. So the modelo has been done for us. They did Mario saltaba. That was an AR verb. So they added aba because you're in the he back. So let's do numero uno. They used to collect dinosaurs in elementary school. Final answer after we take off that AR. And we're in the ellos back, so we want to add aban. So we get coleccionaban. Número dos, they used to fight every day. Step number one is take off the se. Put it in front of your verb. That's why you got two blanks there. And since we're in the they box, it stays se. And then we're left with pelear. So get your stem ready. Take off that AR, and we're in the ellos box once again, so we want to add aban. So final answer would be se peleaban. So ellas se peleaban todos los días, as they used to fight every single day. Jugar, in the nosotros form, take off the AR, and add abamos. So we get jugábamos. Nosotros jugábamos al tenis los domingos. We used to play tennis every Sunday, or we were playing tennis on Sundays. And número cuatro, the verb is leer, so we got to switch our endings now and use the ia family. We're in the to form. So take off your er and add ias. So get tu leías en la biblioteca los fines de semana. You used to read in the library on weekends, or you were reading in the library every single weekend. All right, guys, we're going to continue on with some irregular verbs now on your next page. We only have three in this tense. So there are three irregular verbs in the imperfect tense, and they are ir, and remember ir means to go. Ser, remember ser means to be, and ver, which means to see. And it says here are their forms. And I always tell kids, ir is the iba family. So to say I used to go or I was going, iba. You used to go or you were going, ibas. He or she, iba. We used to go or we were going, íbamos. And you guys used to go or you guys were going, ibais. And the ellos, ellas, ustedes form is iban. So I always tell kids it's the iba family. Every single conjugation there has iba in it. Ser is the era family. So the yo form, yo era, means I was being or I used to be. Eras, you were being or you used to be. Era, he or she was being or he or she used to be. Éramos, we were being or we used to be. Erais and eran, you guys were being or you guys used to be. And they or you guys were being or used to be. So there's the era family. So you might want to write down what families these are here. Here's the Iba family. There's the era family. And good old Bear is going to be the Veia family. Every form has Veia in it. Bear is just a little weird because it keeps that E in that conjugation before you add the Ia family. So you get Veia, Veias, Veia, Veiamos, Veiais, Veian. And again, notice first and third person are the exact same. So you got to make sure you put your subject pronoun in front. So if you want to say, you can't just say Iba. You want to say I used to go or I was going, you got to put yo in front of that. Yo Iba. If it's he or she, you got to say El Iba or Ella Iba. Okay, so put those subject pronouns down in front. Notice here, the two dots there. It says note that only the nosotros forms of ir and ser have accent marks. And notice that ver uses the exact same endings as regular er and ir verbs because the e is added. Okay, try to do activity A and then I'll be back. So guys, let's check part A here real quickly. So this one, they were just looking at meanings here. So if you look at the modelo, the model, it says Claria and Nubia. Would you say were my friends or were going or used to go my friends? Best one is were. In general, I was my cousins or I used to see my cousins. My cousins never used to see with me or used to go with me to the market. Even. My siblings and I were mischievous. Ramos. And you used to go or you used to see lots of movies. We're going to go with you used to see lots of movies. So guys, part B, try to pause the video here and do section B. And then I'll come back with the answers. All right. Okay, so answers. Number 1, ser in the she form would be era. Number 2, ver in the nosotros form would be veíamos. Numero 3, ir in the yo form would be iba. Cuatro, we're only talking about one family here. My mom's family. So you're in the third person singular box. So my mom's family used to watch my grandma or used to see my grandma. Veía. And Juana and I used to be very good friends. Éramos. So double check your work. Make sure you have accent marks in there. And then the last page, pause the video once again and go through and do the last page on your own and then come back and check your work. So guys, on this page, it's kind of a story about Christopher Columbus. And it says, below are 2 paragraphs about Christopher Columbus. As you read, fill in the blanks with the appropriate imperfect form of the verbs that are given. The first one's been done for you. So they started out, Christopher Columbus was when he was 10 years old, so they did to Nia. He used to like to navigate or sail with his father, Gustaba. Christopher and his friends used to imagine, imaginaban, all sorts of distant, exotic places that they used to visit or that they were going to visit someday, even. His parents always used to say, decían, it's important to imagine and discover. Cristobal used to think a lot, pensaba. And he really was wanting to look for a new place. Period. And down at the bottom, when he was older, would be era. He used to talk every once in a while with the kings or the rulers of Spain to ask them for money for his explorations. Blah, blah. The king would say, or used to say to him, decían, Christopher, you were a good explorer as a little boy with your father? Eras. You used to see some really new places, or lots of new places. Yes. It's important now that you discover a new route for us to India. Christopher always used to exploraba, and he used to see lots of new places, but he never found the route to India. And of course, we know the ending to that story. We know what he ended up discovering. That was us. All right, guys, that ends your notes for today. I hope you're doing well. Have a great day. Adios.